I was holding my daughter's hand when my grandmother's shadow stretched across the shelter's linoleum floor. She was 6, her fingers sticky with apple juice, trusting the world in the easy, unguarded way I once did. My grandmother didn't. Look at the caseworkers or the exhausted faces around us. She looked straight at me. Why aren't you living in your house on Hawthorne Street? She asked, the question cut clean. Like a knife slid between my ribs. Quiet, exact. What? House, I said. Her smile slipped just for a moment. 3 days later, I walked into a family gathering dressed like nothing had been taken from me. My parents went pale the second they saw me. They recognized my posture. I had found the loose thread, and I was ready to pull it. I opened my mouth to speak. He was about to learn who had taken his place. I hadn't always been this careful once. I trusted the people who raised me. I trusted the man I married. We were young when we met him, with ambition polished into charm, me with loyalty I thought made me strong. My parents loved him. He was steady, dependable. The kind of man they wanted standing between me and the world, from the outside. Our life looked solid: a daughter, routines, smiles frozen in photos. I never even knew the house we were meant to live in existed because I'd been trained not to ask questions that made others uncomfortable. Trust makes you quiet, betrayal teaches you to pay attention. The warning signs came softly. Bank statements stopped showing up. Mail was redirected. A lawyer's name surfaced once, then vanished. My husband's phone would light up at night, face down, buzzing like something trapped. My parents kept telling me to let him handle everything. Patterns always appear before the truth does. When I finally found the document, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat at the kitchen table and read it twice. A deed, Hawthorne Street, bought in my name, signed by my husband, and co-signed by my father using a power of attorney I had never given. They hadn't just lied to me, they had replaced me. So I moved quietly. Silence is powerful when people think you're defeated. I stayed at the shelter because it painted the right picture: a struggling daughter, a failed marriage, a woman who wouldn't push back. My grandmother saw through it, as she always had. She built her life assuming everyone was lying until proven otherwise. When she asked that question, the lie finally cracked. I didn't confront anyone. I planned, I requested records. I listened while my grandmother talked. She remembered paying for that house as a gift to me. She remembered my parents promising to manage it while I adjusted to being a new mother. She remembered my husband thanking her. What she did not remember was ever agreeing to be stolen from. I collected evidence the way a surgeon gathers tools, slowly, carefully, with purpose. I filed nothing until I understood everything. I let my husband finish the divorce he thought he was controlling. I let my parents reassure him that he was safe. I let all of them believe I was still barely surviving, not watching. On the day of the family gathering, the room buzzed with confidence no one had earned. My husband laughed aloud. My parents played perfect hosts. I waited for the moment when silence couldn't be avoided. I have a question, I said. The room leaned toward me. My grandmother asked why my daughter and I weren't living in our house on Hawthorne Street. My father's glass stopped halfway to his mouth. My mother forgot how to breathe. There is no house, my husband said. Far too quickly. I smiled, not kindly. There is, I said, and it's in my name. I watched the truth sink in, slow and ugly. I told them about the forged power of attorney, the rent they'd been collecting, the account opened without my permission, the signatures that didn't match, and the lawyer who had already reviewed everything. My grandmother stood up then, her age straightening out of her like a weapon. I paid for that home for my granddaughter. She said, you stole from her and from her child. No one dared interrupt her. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. I explained the filings already submitted, the criminal investigation, the civil case, and the trust my grandmother was changing effective immediately. I explained that my husband had been living in a house that was never his, shielded by parents who thought family made theft acceptable. He tried to speak. I didn't stop. You took my place, I said, finally looking at him. You lived my life while I slept in a shelter with our daughter. You thought my silence meant I was weak. The room fell completely still. When it was over, I didn't feel happy. I felt aligned. Like something that had been out of place was finally set right. Justice isn't loud, it doesn't cheer. It shuts doors and locks them. Now my daughter sleeps in her own room, sunlight warming the walls, Hawthorne Street. I sign my own name now. I ask questions. I no longer confuse love with obedience. Betrayal taught me the difference between being chosen and being used. Revenge taught them what happens when they mistake my silence for surrender.